This requires imagination, and so we said to the doctor, how about going with us in 2 days to the nearest US base, and we'll see what we can find out. So we went and found him and loaded up, and we went to the base 2 days later. And when we arrived at the base, probably not so dissimilar from some of your experiences here, there were literally hundreds of people in front of the base trying to get through to talk to somebody who had some authority in there and might know about the disappeared of their families. Literally hundreds. So it felt to us a little pushy and inappropriate to kind of push our way through this great mass of people, but we did, and got up to the guards, and we explained that we were the Christian Peacemaker Teams, which of course they don't have any idea who we are, and that we would like to see some responsible person to talk about this situation. And then a major appeared, and he talked to us, and he said, okay, well, why don't you come into my office? So we went into the office, Dr. Talib and two of us. And then we ended up talking to this major, who was a reserve officer and was assigned through his Texas National Guard unit to Iraq to do this. It's called the Civic Action Group. I don't know if you have similar, you probably have the same thing in the British forces, but you may probably call it something different, but that's what we call it. And so the major, he said, okay, well, this sounds like a serious problem. And so he sat down in front of his laptop and went to work. And he was looking at something there, and he went through it for a while, and he couldn't find any information. Then he told us, well, I don't know what to say because I don't think I can help you. And then he went back and tried something else. And once again, he apologized to the doctor and said, I'm sorry, I can't help you. You need to go to another office. And you all know very well how it feels to be referred to another office, yes? And so we kind of got a little bit pushy, and we said, well, could we talk to the next level up commander? And so we had another talk, and then they sent the battalion lawyer in to talk to us and to explain to us how this wasn't our responsibility and we should not be worried about this. And he didn't get very far, but anyway, we had a respectful conversation. And eventually we came out zero. And we ended up going then to another office that had been set up in this famous green zone called the Iraqi Support Office. And we already knew about that place, and we had been there with respect to a whole series of detainees that we couldn't find information about, but we went back there again with this case and a number of others to ask for information. But we had no success, and so now this is where kind of imagination and so forth come together in the work of Christian peacemaking, or peacemaking in general, I think. So we thought, well, let's go knock on the doors of some of these prisons. We knew where the main ones were. There was one at the airport, there was Abu Gharib, there was Buka, and there was Qasr, down near the Kuwaiti border. Qasr was the biggest. It reportedly had 20,000 detainees. And that's what the military told us. And when we would go and seek information, they would say, the better ones would say to us, now listen carefully, what do you know? Because we don't understand how the system works. This is what they would say. We don't understand how this thing works. And these are people who are supposed to know. These are majors and lieutenant colonels and so forth. So this is 5 months into the war. And it was a closely held thing in the Pentagon, you see. So we decided we would try to work some of these prisons, but we thought we'd go to the biggest one first, Qasr. And at that time, we had a Catholic priest who was a member of the team, and he was a good person. His name was Jerry. And so we said, Jerry, you priests are supposed to do miracles from time to time, and so this is the time for you to go to work. And no, seriously, we said, Jerry, actually, this is one of the things we work with. We try to use all of the resources that are available, and we told him before he came to Iraq, bring your vestments along, because maybe they'd be useful. So we said, Jerry, get your vestments and go with Dr. Talib down to Qasr. And when you get there, put them all on, as much as you can stand. They're 120-degree heat. Put them on and stand at the gate, because if there are 20,000 detainees inside, you can be sure there's going to be hundreds of Iraqis on the outside trying to get in. And so Jerry said, sure, I'll be glad to do that. And so they went down. This is a long way. This is several hundred miles. I think it's between 400 and 500 miles, but probably closer to 500. And it's down near the border. So he went. They couldn't get in the first day, and the second day, after they found a place to stay overnight, they went there and were able to talk their way in. Jerry in all his glorious apparel, and the doctor. And then they talked their way past the guards, and then they talked their way to, they said they want to see the commander. And pretty soon, the woman who was a general and the commander came out to talk to Father Jerry. You know, it pays to be a clergy. Yeah. And there is a use for this clergy thing. It's useful, it's helpful. Yeah. And we're recruiting you tonight, right now. Anyway, so a very polite conversation, and the commander of the prison said, oh, well, we'll see what we can do to find them right now. And she went in, and about 2 hours later, here come the three sons. And they sat down and had a time together with their father and so forth. When are you going to get out? Well, nobody knew. Well, the commander of the prison said, I'm going to put a urgent on their files and try to get them moved through. So now we know that they're alive, and the family is a little bit less worried. So the situation, nothing much happens for several months. There's no further communication. In August of that year, the International Committee for the Red Cross had been blown up. Some 30 people were killed. And the meaning of that is that the communications between prison and families, prisoners and families, is no longer smooth. So this is what they have, the one channel in the world to keep that open. And it was open to a few detainees, but not very many. It was also the period where the UN was blown up, and the Jordanian embassy and some other organizations. So in that period, many groups left the country because it began to become extremely insecure.